A grocery store manager yanks a senior's cart and dumps her food at the exit in front of everyone. The cashier, on a final warning, decides to scan and pay for the scattered items himself, risking his job and standing up to his boss. Quiet ripples follow at the store, and in the neighborhood as small habits shift around a single act of dignity. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And, hey, where are you tuning in from? Leave your country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories reach. The manager yanked the granny cart sideways, wheels squealing on the tile. Apples broke loose and rolled, tapping into the base of the gum display. A loaf of bread smeared across a wet streak of mop water and came up with grey lint stuck to the bag. He held up a pack of deli ham and ripped the corner so it hissed. "Opened," he said loud, "to no one and everyone." He snapped the safety ring on a mouthwash bottle and set it on a stack of weekly ads like it was evidence. The woman reached for a can of beans. He blocked her hand with his shoe. Not a kick, a firm stop. His eyes flicked up to the black dome of the ceiling camera, then to the doors that kept sighing open and shut, letting in gusts of cold. People slowed, then slowed more. A teen pointed until his mother pulled his arm down. A man in a suit shifted his bag to his other shoulder to watch. Jay stepped off his lane with the till, still warm. He left the last receipt sitting by the scanner, ink damp. He'd just hit his hours for the week and needed to keep them. One more write-up, and they'd cut his schedule. He could still feel the weight of the final warning form from last month in his locker. He knew this manager. New guy from a bigger store across town. He wore his radio on the front of his belt and talked about shrink like it was a war. "We're bleeding," he'd said in morning meeting. "We are not a charity." Jay had nodded along with everyone else and then stopped ramen. The woman with the granny cart had a coat that still had the thrift store tag loop hanging from the cuff. Her hands were the kind that shake when you reach for the small bills. Her face went still the second the car tipped. Not angry, not even surprised. Just still, as if this had happened before and she had learned to go quiet as it rolled over her. "Ma'am, open bag in the cart," the manager said, like he was reading a script. "Can't exit with open merchandise." His voice was steady. He looked tired. He kept glancing at the convex mirror over the doors. She said, "I was going to pay," voice thin. The words dropped and vanished in the hum of freezers. "Your total then," the manager shot back. He jabbed at the air, at the items on the floor. "Let's see if it's I was going to pay." Jay's feet moved before his plan did. The ham was bleeding meat water onto the floor. He crouched and picked it up without thinking, wiped the corner with the inside of his apron. "Hey, stay your lane," a bagger hissed under his breath. Not unkind. His eyes were big. He already had his own final warning folded in his pocket. Everybody did. Jay looked at the woman. She didn't look back. She watched a grape roll away and hit the door track and stop. He could feel the math in his head. 4 hours left on this week's schedule. The rent. His kid sister's inhaler. The way his manager added your name to the quiet list if you crossed him. The list that meant you got the dead shifts that never filled. And then one day your name wasn't on any list at all. He thought about doing nothing. He had done nothing many times and gone home with a clean shirt and a gnawing mouthful of ticket stub taste. He grabbed a scanner and started beeping the mess like it was his. Beep, ham, beep, beans. He straightened the bread and ran it too, like it wasn't damp. He worked fast, and the scanner chirped like normal business. "Excuse me," the manager said, voice tight. "What are you doing?" Jay pulled his wallet. He swiped his card on the little reader they used by the floral counter when the line got long and they had to triage. The screen lit green. Receipt churned. He didn't look up. "Paying," he said. The old woman's eyes flicked to his face and then away. She reached for the bag, then stopped like she couldn't make her arm obey yet. "You can't do that," the manager said. He laughed, but not in a joking way. "She concealed merchandise. This is a stop now." Jay nodded without agreeing. He finished the scan, tore the receipt, and tucked it into the old woman's coat pocket like he'd been told 5,000 times to do for speed and courtesy. "You're good," he said to her, low. The manager hissed, "You can't void a stop." He stepped in front of the doors. His radio crackled on his belt. He lowered his voice so only the closest circle could hear. "Keep walking, and you take this one home. That's on you." He looked at Jay's apron like it was a problem he could resolve if he stared hard enough. "I paid," Jay said louder now, because quiet could be worked around. The suit guy flinched at the volume. "Let her go." A teenager near the gum had his phone out, uncertain, not recording yet, looking for a reason to hold it steady. "You're done for today," the manager said. "Turn in your lanyard." He held out his hand. Jay glanced back at his lane. The light above it still read 7 in yellow. Nobody had slid in to cover him yet. The bagger stared at the floor. A woman with a double stroller made a small face like she had tasted something bitter. Time had stopped moving normal. There was a way to joke this off. He could shrug and say he messed up, that he was just speeding things up, that he didn't really mean it like that. He could take the receipt back, crumple it, say it didn't go through. He took off his lanyard and set it on the end of the gum rack. The plastic card made a dry click. "Walk her out," the manager said to a guard who had arrived out of nowhere. Then to Jay, "Lower and faster. You can come back tomorrow and talk to HR." His face wasn't bright red or anything like that. He looked worn out. He looked like he wanted the scene to be over before the district manager walked in. "Okay," Jay said. He picked up the bag. The handles had stretched and split where the bread had dragged through the water. On the sidewalk, he rebagged everything and tied the ripped handles together. The cold hit his ears and made them ache. Traffic droned in the near distance. The woman took the bag, then gave it back. "Hands," she said, showing him a small shake. "A little apology in it." He nodded. They stood at the bus stop for a minute. The shelter glass had scratches that made sunbursts. He tried not to think about his phone buzzing. He tried not to think about rent. "Where to?" he asked. She told him a street, 2 away from the store. "We can walk," he said. They moved slow. The bag creaked. He could hear the clink of the mouthwash bottle in a corner. She stopped halfway to adjust her scarf and catch her breath without making a big deal. He waited and looked at a flyer stuck to a pole about a lost cat with one ear. Her building smelled like cabbage and old paint. The elevator was out with a handwritten note and tape that had been picked at and replaced twice. They climbed 3 flights. She didn't talk. He didn't either. Inside, the light was yellow and steady. The plant leaned toward a window with a view of a brick wall. He set the bag on the counter. He ran her tap until it went clear. The water sputtered and then turned cold and sharp. She found 2 cups that didn't match and set them on the counter, then pushed them aside when she remembered she hadn't bought tea. The sound of the mouthwash bottle knocking in the bag filled the small kitchen. He wiped off the bread bag. He tightened the loose screws on a cabinet with a coin he pulled from his pocket. He replaced a dim bulb over the sink because there was a spare in the drawer. He peeled 2 stickers off an apple because they would melt plastic on the bottom of a pot if she cooked them. Small work, clean motions. "Thank you," she said when he set the ham in the fridge. She said it the way you say a fact, not the way you pass out a prize. He nodded. "You got a number? In case you need anything." He didn't mean it like charity. He meant it like you keep a receipt in case anyone ever asks. She gave him a folded slip from a stack by the phone. It was a church pantry schedule, days crossed through with pen. A yellow envelope stuck to the fridge. The corner was greasy from fingers. The words were plain and exact. An appointment. A deadline. He didn't pick it up. He didn't ask. On the table sat a plastic hospital bracelet curled into a figure 8, the kind you cut off at home with dull scissors. An orange prescription bottle lay on its side, cap on, with a label you couldn't read unless you pressed your face close. He stuffed his hands in his pockets so he didn't start fixing everything he saw. He wasn't here for that. He had already done the part he had done. At the door, she put her palm on his forearm, light, not to stop him, just to say she knew he existed. "I didn't take nothing," she said again, like she wanted to set that down somewhere outside her own head. "I know," he said. He left, breathing in the hallway air that always smelled like someone's dinner and someone else's laundry soap, and sometimes something you couldn't name. He pulled his hat lower, thumbed his phone. 2 texts. One from the bagger, "Yo, you good." One from his sister, "Bus home okay?" He typed back, "Good, yes." The sun, through the stairwell window, made a line of light across the landing like a cut. The next week, a handwritten sign went up near the exit. "Please see cashier if you need scanning help. Thank you." The letters were neat black marker on white board, not an apology. A pivot. The manager had them all in the back room for a 5-minute reset. "If someone needs help, help them," he said. His jaw worked like he was still chewing on last week. He didn't say Jay's name. He looked at no one. He had started keeping a small notebook in his back pocket, and he wrote in it while he listened for the radio. A team from the coffee kiosk started showing up at the exit with a stack of brown bags and a Sharpie. "Name?" she'd ask, smiling without teeth. She'd write it on the bag and draw a stick son. Customers started keeping their receipts in those bags because it felt better than wadding them up and jamming them in a pocket. The bagger who had hissed at Jay began to carry boxes for old men with canes out to the curb when there wasn't a rush. He didn't ask if he could. He waited until the light by the doors turned green because someone had told him. That meant the cameras were rolling, and he liked things on the record now. In the break room, someone set a plastic tub by the microwave with a paper taped to it. IOU Community Ledger. People dropped in coins from bottle returns. A few bills with corners torn. No one tracked it. It didn't make sense. It made sense. Jay didn't get his hours back right away. The go home turned into we'll call you turned into 2 days silence. Then a Sunday overnight shift popped onto the app next to his name, the slot no one grabbed because the train didn't run that late. He accepted it without looking at the rate. He showed up, hair still damp from a fast shower, and faced pallets of soup. At 3 a.m., the manager came through with a clipboard and stopped like he hit a wall of air when he saw Jay breaking down boxes. He nodded once. "We've got to do better at the door," he said, not looking up. It wasn't the kind of line you can put in a commercial. It was enough. The old woman came by once midweek around noon. She had on the same coat, but this time her scarf was tied tight. She put bananas and toothpaste and a small bag of rice on the belt. The cashier, a kid with a cowlick and a nervous laugh, said, "Do you want help to the curb?" She said no, he asked one more time, and then handed her the bag. A person near the gum started to film. Reflex, then lowered his phone before he hit record. He picked up a grape and tossed it in the trash before anyone slipped. Later, walking past the windows after close, Jay saw his reflection layered over the produce display, the fake mist still hissing over lettuce. He thought about the moment the ham package hissed and the way the room had gone tight. He thought about the old woman's hand on his jacket. He didn't think about policy or about right and wrong in the big way. He thought about how it felt to hand someone a bag with a receipt in it and have them leave standing up straight. A light burned in a third-floor window 2 blocks down. He could see it from the corner. The square of it was warm in the cold, dark, a plain yellow lid on a small box of heat. He lifted his hand as he walked, just in case, and for a second, at that distance, it looked like someone lifted a hand back.